Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I'm Anuja Kumar, and with me is VC Pramod with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold a virtual summit with his British counterpart Boris Johnson this evening. Both leaders to discuss the global efforts to fight the pandemic. Over 320,000 people recover from COVID-19 in the country in the last 24 hours. More than 357,000 fresh cases of COVID-19 registered in the country. BCCI suspends IPL 2021 for the season after 4 players test positive for COVID-19. Bihar imposes a complete lockdown from tomorrow till 15th of May to check the rising number of COVID-19 cases. Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa chairs a meeting with stakeholders over shortage of oxygen and remdesivir in the state. Free COVID-19 vaccination for people between 18 to 44 years to begin in Madhya Pradesh tomorrow. Newly elected MLAs of Tamil Nadu to meet today to elect their leader. In Puducherry, BJP to be a part of the coalition government for the first time. As the number of COVID cases is on the rise, we appeal to our listeners to take all precautions and all those above 18 years of age to get vaccinated without any hesitation. The vaccination for persons of age between 18 and 44 has begun at designated facilities. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold a virtual summit with his British counterpart Boris Johnson this evening. During the summit, apart from exchanging views on regional and global issues of mutual interest, both leaders will discuss cooperation on COVID-19 and the global efforts to fight the pandemic. A report from our correspondent.
The summit will be an important opportunity to elevate multifaceted strategic ties and enhance cooperation on regional and global issues of mutual interest. A comprehensive roadmap 2030 will be launched during the summit, which will pave the way for further expanding and deepening India-UK cooperation over the next decade across 5 key areas. These are people-to-people relationship, trade and prosperity, defense and security, climate action, and healthcare. India and UK enjoy strategic partnerships since 2004. It has been marked by regular high-level exchanges and growing convergences in diverse areas. Mr. Johnson was to visit India late last month, but days before the visit, he called it off in view of the coronavirus pandemic. Anupam Mishra, AR News, Delhi.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar had a meeting with his U.S. counterpart Antony Blinken in London yesterday on the sidelines of G7 foreign ministers' meeting. The 2 leaders had detailed discussion on the global challenge posed by COVID, focus on expanded vaccine production capacity, and reliable supply chains. The meeting also covered the issues of Indo-Pacific, UN Security Council, Myanmar, and climate change. Dr. Jaishankar expressed appreciation for the strong U.S. support to India at this difficult time, especially for the supply of oxygen and remdesivir. Dr. Jaishankar is on a 4-day visit to London, which began yesterday to participate in the G7 foreign ministers meeting, at which India has been invited as a guest country. He will thereafter undertake a bilateral visit to the UK.
The European Union Commission has recommended to ease restrictions on non-essential travel from overseas for those who received the last dose of an EU-approved vaccine. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen tweeted that it was time to revive EU tourism industry and for cross-border friendships to rekindle safely. The EU currently only allows non-essential travel from 7 countries. Discussions on the plans will begin today. The EU has already announced plans for a digital certificate which would cover anyone who is either vaccinated against COVID-19, has a negative test, or has recently recovered. The 5th consignment carrying medical equipment from the US arrived in India this morning. The consignment has 545 oxygen concentrators. MEA spokesperson Arindam Bagchi appreciated the support from the US.
India's vaccination drive against COVID-19 continues with added momentum and has crossed the cumulative tally of over 15 crore 89 lakh doses so far. In the world's largest vaccination program, the nation administered more than 17 lakh doses of COVID vaccine in the last 24 hours. The Health Ministry has informed that in a span of 108 days since the beginning of the vaccination drive, the country has so far successfully given the first dose of vaccine to nearly 13 crore people. On the other hand, around 2 crore 90 lakh people have been fully vaccinated with both the required doses. In the third phase of India's vaccination drive, which began from the 1st of this month, in which everyone in the age group of 18 to 44 years are eligible for COVID vaccine doses, over 4 lakh doses have been administered so far in this drive. In the last 24 hours alone, more than 2,15,000 people in the age group were given the first shot of the vaccine. Citizens in the age group of 18 to 44 years can register themselves in the COVID vaccination program through cowin.gov.in platform or also through Arogya Setu app. The Health Ministry today informed that currently over 34,47,000 people are reported to be suffering from the viral pandemic and are either hospitalized or are under home isolation. In the last 24 hours, the nation registered 3,57,229 new COVID cases. With this, the recovery rate has further slipped to stand at 81.91%. Since yesterday, over 3,20,000 people have been discharged from hospitals or are reported to have been completely cured. So far, over 1 crore 66 lakh people have recovered from the COVID-19 infection in the country. 10 states, including Maharashtra, Karnataka, Chhattisgarh, Delhi, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat and Kerala continue to be the major hotspots of the viral pandemic. The Health Ministry has informed that 3,449 COVID-related deaths were reported in the last 24 hours, taking the cumulative toll to 2,22,408.
Production capacity of remdesivir in the country has been enhanced thrice to reach around 1 crore 5 lakh vials per month. Minister of State for Chemicals and Fertilizers Mansukh Mandaviya has informed that in less than a month's time, number of remdesivir production plants in the country has been increased to nearly 3 times, from 20 plants to 57 functional production plants as on date. The minister said the centre is taking all necessary steps to substantially ramp up the production of antiviral drug remdesivir amidst its growing demand in the country. The drug has reportedly been found to reduce hospitalization duration of critically ill COVID patients. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal today announced that all ration card holders in the national capital will be given free ration for the next 2 months. The scheme by the government will benefit nearly 72 lakh ration card holders in Delhi. The Chief Minister also announced that all auto rickshaw drivers and taxi drivers in the National Capital Territory of Delhi will be given 5,000 rupees each to provide them the much-needed financial assistance during the time of the pandemic. The Chief Minister asserted that, however, the lockdown may not last for 2 months, but the assistance has been extended by the Delhi government to ensure food and livelihood to the poor amid the difficult times of COVID-19.
In Assam, the Secondary Education Board of Assam, SEBA, has postponed the metric and high madrasa examination in the state. The chairman of the SEBA, Ramesh Chandra Jain, told AIR News that the decision was taken due to the COVID situation. He said that a new date will be declared later after monitoring the situation. The metric examination was supposed to start from the 11th of this month. The current season of Indian Premier League has been suspended due to emergence of multiple cases of COVID-19 in the players. The Indian Premier League Governing Council and Board of Control for Cricket in India, in an emergency meeting, has unanimously decided to postpone IPL 2021 season with immediate effect. In a statement, Indian Premier League has said the BCCI does not want to compromise on the safety of the players, support staff and the other participants involved in organizing the IPL. It said this decision was taken keeping the safety, health and well-being of all the stakeholders in mind. It further said, these are difficult times, especially in India, and the BCCI will do everything in its power to arrange for the secure and safe passage of all the participants. The ongoing season of IPL were drawing criticisms from the various corners due to emergence of the second wave of COVID-19 in the country. The management has created a bio-bubble mechanism for the safety of the players, but despite these efforts, several players recently found were COVID positive.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold a virtual summit with his British counterpart Boris Johnson this evening. Both leaders to discuss global efforts to fight the pandemic. Over 3,20,000 people recover from COVID-19 in the country in the last 24 hours. More than 3,57,000 fresh cases of COVID-19 registered in the country. BCCI suspends IPL 2021 for the season after 4 players test positive for COVID-19. Bihar imposes a complete lockdown from tomorrow till the 15th of May to check the rising number of COVID-19 cases. Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa chairs a meeting with stakeholders over shortage of oxygen and remdesivir in the state. Free COVID-19 vaccination for people between 18 to 44 years to begin in Madhya Pradesh tomorrow. Newly elected MLAs of Tamil Nadu to meet today to elect their leader. In Puducherry, BJP to be part of the coalition government for the first time. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back to the Midday News on All India Radio. The Bihar government has imposed a complete lockdown from tomorrow till the 15th of May due to surge in COVID-19 cases in the state. The Chief Minister, Nitish Kumar, said in his tweet that after discussion with the ministers and officials yesterday, it was decided to implement the lockdown in Bihar till May the 15th. Vaccination centers, banks and essential services will remain functional during the lockdown. As per the guidelines, government offices and public corporations shall remain closed. All private and commercial establishments will also remain closed. However, ration shops, dairy, vegetables and meat shops will remain open between 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. Home delivery from restaurants will be allowed from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. All places of worship and religious gatherings will also be closed. The concerned authorities have been instructed to encourage home delivery to minimize the movement of individuals outside their homes. Marriage ceremony with 50 persons has been allowed. Only 20 persons will be permitted in funeral procession. In Madhya Pradesh, free vaccination for people between 18 and 44 years of age will start tomorrow. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has said that purchase orders have been issued to both the vaccine manufacturers, keeping in view the potential requirement of 5 crore 29 lakh doses for vaccination. The Chief Minister was addressing a meeting of COVID core group in connection with the prevention and arrangements of the pandemic. The Chief Minister said that possibilities for import of vaccine are also being examined for the earliest supply. More from our Bhopal correspondent.
The state government declared media professionals accredited with the state government as frontline workers. Now accredited journalists will also be given the benefit of all facilities provided to frontline workers. The state on Monday reported a total of 12,062 cases, while 13,408 patients recovered from infection. The active caseload stands at 85,750, while the recovery rate increased to 84.7% and mortality rate is 1%. Pooja Pivardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
In the wake of the rising number of COVID-19 cases in Maharashtra, various health facilities are being continuously increased. Efforts are also being made to avoid inconvenience to the citizens with disabilities. More from our Mumbai correspondent.
The Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai has added 1,500 beds at its NESCO COVID Care Center at Goregaon. With this, the capacity of the center has increased to 3,700 beds. In Palghar, the Western Railway has prepared fully equipped AC coaches for COVID-19 patients. There are 21 such coaches available at Palghar railway station. Oxygen facility is also available and each coach will accommodate 16 patients. Meantime, people with disabilities will no longer have to stand in queue for COVID-19 testing, vaccinations or treatment in the state. Social Justice Minister Dhananjay Munde has directed to give them priority. Madhuri Pange, AIR News, Mumbai.
Maharashtra Medical, Education and Cultural Minister Amit Deshmukh has instructed the Maharashtra State Electricity Distribution Company Limited to take precautionary measures against sudden power outbreaks. He added that during the pandemic, in the last few days, human lives and property has been lost in a series of fire accidents. At present, thousands of COVID-positive patients are being treated at government as well as private hospitals and COVID care centers. Amit Deshmukh was speaking yesterday in a virtual review meeting with Latur District Administration, the State Electricity Board officials and people's representatives. He further said that during the pandemic, many patients are in government, private or institutional and home segregation. Frequent power outages in this situation could endanger the lives of some critically ill patients undergoing treatment at the hospital. Therefore, the State Electricity Board needs to ensure that power supply is not interrupted suddenly.
Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa is holding meetings with the stakeholders to tackle the shortage of oxygen and remdesivir injection in the state. Today afternoon, he has called an emergency meeting of drug suppliers, followed by an emergency cabinet meeting to chalk out measures to fulfill urgent medical needs of the COVID patients. We have more from our correspondent.
The state reported 44,438 new COVID cases and 239 deaths yesterday. The positivity rate has reached 29.80%. There is tremendous pressure on hospitals and demand for ICU beds, oxygen and remdesivir has increased manyfold. The Chief Minister held a meeting with medical oxygen suppliers to seek smooth supply and ask officials to keep a tab on the supplies. Deputy Chief Minister Dr. C.N. Ashwath Narayan has asked officials to make 1912 helpline more transparent in the allocation of beds to the COVID patients. In Bengaluru, the central bed management system that gives information on the availability of beds in government COVID hospitals has now expanded its utility by providing information on the availability of beds in the private COVID hospitals too. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
Telangana reported 6,876 fresh COVID cases of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. The state government in its COVID bulletin stated that currently over 79,000 active cases are in the state. The number of COVID cases reported so far in the state has gone up to 4,63,361, while the recovery rate reported is at 82.30%. During the last 24 hours, 7,432 more people recovered from the disease. This took the total recoveries in the state to over 3,81,000. 59 more people succumbed to the disease in the last 24 hours.
The Ministry of Ayush and the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports have tapped into the spirit of International Day of Yoga to encourage the public to pursue yoga as a daily routine for good health and well-being. The two ministries came together to organize a virtual event on Sunday to mark 50 days in the countdown to International Day of Yoga 2021. In view of the surge in COVID cases, all the Yoga Day promotional activities are to be conducted through digital electronic platforms to encourage participation by citizens from their respective homes. The Ministry of Ayush has, in this context, been propagating the message, "Be with yoga, be at home." Renowned flautist Pandit Chetan Joshi has said that no situation ever remains the same and it changes with time. Talking to AIR News, he said the present gloomy situation arising out of COVID pandemic will pass soon.
समय का एक चक्र होता है, पहिए की तरह जो आज ऊपर है वह कल नीचे होगा और जो आज नीचे है उसे निश्चित रूप से ऊपर जाना है। जब समय खराब आता है उस समय भगवान हमारे धैर्य की, हमारे आत्मबल की और हमारे गुरुओं की शिक्षा की परीक्षा लेते हैं, लेकिन जब यही समय अच्छा आता है तो फिर हम पुराने दुख दर्द सब कुछ भूल भाल कर पुनः नव सृजन में लग जाते हैं। यही प्रकृति का संदेश भी है और हम सबको इसका पालन करना चाहिए। बिल्कुल अपना मनोबल छोटा न करें। कठिनाइयां तो आती हैं, लेकिन ये कठिनाइयां जल्दी ही दूर भी हो जाएंगी, यह विश्वास रखिए और अपना काम करते रहिए, अपना ज्ञान बढ़ाते रहिए, अपना रियाज बढ़ाते रहिए। यही इस समय की सार्थक उपयोगिता होगी।
The nation's first drive-in vaccination centre was inaugurated by MP Rahul Shivale in Mumbai today. This centre has been set up in the parking lot of Kohinoor Square Tower at Dadar. This first of its kind drive-in vaccination centre facility has been made available to the citizens at a time when people with disabilities are facing difficulties in getting to the vaccination centre. BJP Party President Jagat Prakash Nadda will visit West Bengal today. He will be on a two-day visit to the state in view of the widespread violence that broke out in the state after the election results. The BJP President will meet the affected party workers and their families. Condemning the whole incident, the party demanded an immediate end to these violence. It is to be noted that the West Bengal Governor Jagdeep Dhankar yesterday asked for a report on post-poll violence in the state and the action taken by the government. Amidst the reports of violence from all over, the West Bengal Governor expressed his concern about the incidents of violence in the state. He has called upon the State Home Secretary H.K. Dwivedi and has asked him to take steps to restore law and order in the state.
BJP today came down heavily on TMC following reports of post-poll violence in West Bengal. Party spokesperson Shombit Patra, while referring to alleged killing of BJP workers in the state, said the situation is really worrisome. He said the country has never witnessed such scenes in the electoral history, adding that there should be graciousness after winning polls. The BJP spokesperson accused TMC chief Mamata Banerjee of threatening people during poll campaign. The spokesperson said 2.28 crore Bengalis have voted for the BJP. He questioned whether it is not the democratic right of these people to vote for a political party of their choice. He said BJP is the main opposition party in West Bengal today and the party stands by the people of who believe in it. The National Commission for Women has taken cognizance of post-poll violence against women in West Bengal and asked state police to act in the matter. The Commission chairperson Rekha Sharma spoke to West Bengal DGP over the issue and asked him to not be a spectator of crime happening in the state against women. She said the DGP informed that he is still verifying the videos related to the violence. She questioned the approach of the police, saying that if this is the state of affairs, what help they will provide to women. The chairperson said a team from NCW will visit the state tomorrow to inquire about the violence against the women.
In Tamil Nadu, newly elected MLAs of the DMK will hold a meeting at 6 p.m. today to elect DMK chief M.K. Stalin as their leader. In another development, DMK leader M.K. Stalin has announced that media personnel will be considered as frontline workers. In his statement today, Stalin said that they would receive their due rights, priorities and concessions as they risk their life amid pandemic, rain and heat. More from our correspondent.
As the state is reeling under COVID second wave, where there is a dire need for utmost medical care, the government has regularized 1,212 nurses working on contract basis. The state registered more than 20,000 fresh cases for the second consecutive day yesterday. As a step to curb the spread of pandemic, the state has extended stricter lockdown measures till 20th of this month. In a related development, a defense press release stated that 2 Indian Air Force planes with 35 tons of critical life care support equipment, including 450 empty oxygen cylinders for India, had landed in Chennai this morning from Bryce Norton in UK. In political development, newly elected MLAs of the DMK will hold a meeting at 6 p.m. today to elect DMK chief M.K. Stalin as their leader. Joy, AIR News, Chennai.
In the Union Territory of Puducherry, the BJP will be a part of the coalition government as said by Puducherry BJP in charge Nirmal Kumar Surana. This is the first time that BJP will take part in the government. A report.
Talking to the media persons, Puducherry BJP in charge Nirmal Kumar Surana said that the BJP registered a phenomenal growth in this election compared to the 2016 election. BJP gave a befitting reply to those who challenged that the party never come to power. Meanwhile, NR Congress chief N. Rangasamy called on the Lieutenant Governor Dr. Tamilisai Soundararajan and staked his claim to form the government. The LG said that the swearing-in ceremony will be held on a date decided by them. The three-time Chief Minister Rangasamy returns to power for the fourth time to lead the NDA government. In the NDA alliance, the All India NR Congress bagged 10 seats while BJP won 6. Chandra Mohan, AIR News, Puducherry.
In Kerala, discussions and negotiations for the formation of a new government are actively gearing up in the left front. The CPIM State Secretariat meeting is progressing. The main topic of discussion is the assigning of ministerial berths to the prospective leaders. Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan and CPIM State Secretary A. Vijayaraghavan and Kodiyeri Balakrishnan are spearheading the discussions. The CPIM Politburo meeting, scheduled to be held tomorrow, is expected to finalize on the major decisions and chart out a clear picture of the second Pinarayi cabinet. The swearing-in date will be decided in the next few days after the LDF meeting approves the list of ministers. The constituent parties of the left front are convening separate meetings as well. Yesterday, Pinarayi Vijayan had visited Governor Arif Mohammad Khan and handed over the resignation of his cabinet. The governor accepted the resignation and directed the Chief Minister to continue in office till the formation of the new government. Former Union Minister and former Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, Jagmohan, passed away in New Delhi today. He was 94. A civil servant, Jagmohan also served as Lieutenant Governor of Delhi and Goa. He was nominated to the Rajya Sabha once and represented New Delhi in Lok Sabha thrice. In the Atal Bihari Vajpayee cabinet, he served as the Union Minister of Communications, Urban Development, Tourism and Culture. He was honoured with Padma Shri in 1971, Padma Bhushan in 1977 and Padma Vibhushan in 2016. President Ram Nath Kovind has expressed grief over the demise of Jagmohan. In a tweet today, Mr. Kovind said, "The nation has lost a unique town planner, able administrator and man of letters." The President said Mr. Jagmohan's administrative and political career was marked by unparalleled brilliance and his death leaves a void that will be felt forever.
At the stock markets, after a firm opening today, the Sensex at the Bombay Stock Exchange had dropped 111 points or 0.2% to trade at 48,607 in the afternoon session a short while ago. The Nifty at the National Stock Exchange had shed 2 points to 14,632. Now let us take a look at the weather report and forecast for today. National capital Delhi is having a partly cloudy sky. The maximum temperature will be around 40 degrees Celsius. Minimum temperature was recorded at 26 degrees. Mumbai, with partly cloudy sky, will have a maximum temperature of around 35 degrees Celsius, rising from a lower level of 26 degrees. Kolkata is having a rain or thunder showers with strong gusty winds. The city temperature will move from a minimum of 25 degrees Celsius to a maximum of around 35 degrees. Chennai is witnessing partly cloudy sky. The upper limit of the temperature will be 35 degrees Celsius, while the lower limit was 27 degrees. Srinagar is facing generally cloudy sky with light rain. The temperature will hover between 13 and 28 degrees Celsius. Jammu is having partly cloudy sky becoming generally cloudy towards the evening or night. The temperature will rise from a minimum of 26 degrees Celsius to a maximum of around 37 degrees. Leh is witnessing partly cloudy sky and the upper limit of temperature will be around 20 from minimum of 3 degrees Celsius. Gilgit is having mainly clear sky while temperature will move from a minimum of 12 to a maximum of 34 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad sky is partly cloudy. The temperature will increase from a minimum of 16 degrees Celsius to a maximum of around 28 degrees. Dehradun is experiencing partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. The upper limit of temperature will be around 34 degrees from minimum 21 degrees. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold a virtual summit with his British counterpart Boris Johnson this evening. Both leaders to discuss the global efforts to fight the pandemic. Over 3,20,000 people recover from COVID-19 in the country in the last 24 hours. More than 3,57,000 fresh cases of COVID-19 registered in the country. BCCI suspends IPL 2021 for this season after 4 players test positive for COVID-19. Bihar imposes a complete lockdown from tomorrow till 15th of May to check the rising number of COVID-19 cases. Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa chairs a meeting with stakeholders over shortage of oxygen and remdesivir in the state. Free COVID-19 vaccination for people between 18 to 44 years to begin in Madhya Pradesh tomorrow. Newly elected MLAs of Tamil Nadu to meet today to elect their leader. And in Puducherry, BJP to be a part of the coalition government for the first time. And with that, we end the midday news.